Okay.
Alright, so my name is Rachel Gabbett and this is the idea for my FMP. It's a film called The Letter. It's about 5 minutes long. I wrote it about 6 months ago. The main synopsis, or however you say it, is a woman basically has lost everything in her life. Her husband's left her and he's taken the daughter. She's lost her job. She's turned to alcohol because it's the only thing that she knows will always be there for her. And she essentially has nothing left to live for. One day she receives a letter through the post with nothing on it except for a date, a time, and a place. She's got nothing left to do, so she goes along and she's framed for a murder. There's kind of 2 stories going on at once. There's also the story of the messenger, the man who delivers her the letter. And for that part, the story is mainly told through direct address of the breaking of the fourth wall. He turns to the camera and talks. Okay, so there's 3 characters in the film. There's firstly the messenger, whose name is Lance Donovan. He's a morally flawed police detective. Basically, he's the one who delivers the letter from the organisation who have found her to set her up for this murder. From her to the woman who named Hannah, who's going to be framed for the murder. And it turns out at the end, the twist is that he is the police detective who arrested for the murder, so he's corrupt. He's kind of inspired by Franklin Wood from House of Cards in that he's a morally flawed guy in a position of power, but essentially what he's doing is also he's supposed to be helping people, but he's actually friendly for murders. Then there's the character of Hannah, who is the woman who's lost everything in her life, who goes along and is framed for that murder. And then there's the character known only as the woman who works for the organisation responsible for the murder. She has some kind of hold over Donovan, which is clear through his monologue that he can't get out of this, he has to do it. The themes in the piece are loss, the loss of everything in your life, power and control, the power that this organisation have over Donovan, as well as the power they have in general, and the control, addiction to substance, and what it drives you to, and the corruption of someone in a position of power. The pros and cons of this idea is that it's quite an original concept. Breaking of the fourth wall is used very rarely in film and TV, and therefore unique in style. There's obviously a lot of films about people being framed for murder and stuff, but I think it's quite original in the way that I've done it, with the idea of a letter and how the characters involved as well. The cons are it relies heavily on a lead actor, so if that's cast badly, then the whole film will just fall to pieces. It's potentially very complicated, but I like to think I've written it so that because you've got him kind of giving a monologue, he explains what's going on. But that also leads to the fact that it's very dialogue driven, there's not an awful lot of action, so it could get boring.
Give it a sec, it'll come back.
The script, as I say, this is a second draft, but I'd say it's still got a few more to go. It's currently 5 pages long. I know you can't really read it, but yeah, the script exists, basically, is what I'm saying.
It looks very nice.
Thank you.
It looks like a script.
Yeah,
which is good.
Like a script, yeah.
Locations, the place where the body's found is Abbott Hall Park in town. I went there the other day and took some pictures. It's quite pretty. It's also quite a public place, which is a con as well, but I plan on filming like at night, or if not using the park itself and just using the surrounding area. It's massive, and when I went there was no one there, and it was late on a school night. And then my flat is going to be the location of where the woman lives, and the surrounding exterior for when he's walking in the close, so when he's nearly there and he's walking upstairs, and then when she leaves. In terms of cast and crew, there's only 3 actors needed, one for Donovan, one for the woman, and one for Hannah. One I've already cast, I've cast the role of Hannah. A friend of mine was a drama student here, and she's agreed to do it for no cost other than me buying her a drink and a pizza. And I'll need one camera operator and one boom operator, probably someone to do some lights, but that's not too big of a cast and crew. In terms of distribution, obviously going to upload it to video on YouTube, and then put it on my own Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully people share it and more people will see it.
Okay.
filming style wanted a lot of camera movement, because it involves a lot of walking. Obviously, he's walking to deliver her the letter. She's walking to get to the place where she's going to be framed. I want a lot of camera movement, and particularly the walk and talk shot, most famously used in the West Wing. It kind of want a dark colour scheme on film, not at night, but kind of verging towards night. Just to kind of go with the dark tone of what's going on, and only cut to close up when of importance, so like on the whiskey bottle, on there's a lighter in one scene, on the letter itself. Costume and props. Donovan is described as wearing like a trench coat. My mum has a trench coat, so that's fine. And as is the character of the woman. I'm pretty sure I used to have one too, which I can find. And a fedora. Just to kind of give it an old school cop kind of feel. There's a Zippo lighter used at one point, which is to burn any evidence. So after he delivers the letter, he burns the envelope that it's come in with the home address written on it. And then obviously she, in one of the few scenes we see with the woman before she's framed, she's drinking whiskey. So a whiskey bottle which will be filled with like orange juice, because obviously you can't use whiskey.
Orange juice doesn't look like whiskey.
I will put something in it
Cold
to make
tea.
it look like, that's what I'm going to do.
Cold tea.
That's what I said first time. Yeah. Inspiration for this was kind of a show House of Cards, in that it's about abuse of power, and also with the use of the breaking of the fourth wall. And then David Fincher, who directed a lot of the episodes, the way he films is kind of similar to the way I want to film this. He said he very rarely puts to a close-up unless what he's putting to is of great importance to either the characters or the audience. I kind of want to emulate that. I think it would appeal to general fans of drama series and film fans. And my demographic is aged 16 to 34, kind of the general target audience for dramas.
Right.
Any questions?
Oh, so many.
I'm going to start by saying that was a very good presentation.
Nice
Oh, awesome.
presentation. Yeah.
Thanks. Very thorough.
I like this presentation as well. I'm going to have to look into that. It's very
Yeah,
nice.
it's
way it was presented.
much better than PowerPoint.
I don't know where to start with my questions because I've got a lot of questions.
Awesome.
Because without having read the
Yeah.
script, it's very difficult.
It's hard for me to explain it as well. Like
Yeah,
this.
5 pages of very densely written story, but what you describe is incredibly ambitious in terms of story and plot and just everything else. I think what you're referring to in terms of style is film noir.
Yeah, I wrote that on originally.
Yeah, so there's lots of things about morals and existentialism and human nature in there, as well as the thriller elements. But I don't know where to begin. Why is this guy framing people? That was my main question: is why and how is he framing people for murders?
Basically, the guy, the messenger, he's kind of a third party who they've hired so that it cannot get back to them under any circumstances.
Well, why the organisation?
They're framing people, basically, the murder she's framed for, they've killed him because he's done something to them. I'm not 100%, it doesn't matter what it is, he's, mugged them off in some sort of way. And they've killed him, but they need a way to kind of, they want to protect themselves. And by framing someone who has nothing left to shout for them, no one left to defend them and say, no, but she would never have done this. They've essentially got someone to take the fall for them, if that makes any sense.
Okay, and so who are the organisation? Is it a criminal organisation?
Yeah.
Are they like drugs or
Yeah.
espionage?
I
or
don't really,
something like that?
I don't know, I didn't really think it was too important to kind of elaborate.
You need to know.
I know, yeah, they're in a
You need
drugs.
to know.
Drugs and you like the mafia type of thing, but on a smaller scale. in Kenya.
Organised crime.
Yeah, in Kenya.
Into prostitution and drugs,
Yeah,
or
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
And they killed somebody, and then they have a corrupt police detective who's being
Yeah.
paid off
Well,
to do their dirty work for them.
they've got some kind of hold over him. So I started writing a backstory for what happened, and he essentially did something when he was younger, and they've now got this massive hold over him now that he's a police officer, and they can get him to do things and kind of, because he's a police officer, keep them out of certain things. Yeah. They basically just got a double agent kind of thing. But he doesn't work for them, he's just...
And the film, the story is told mainly from his point of view,
Yeah.
with him addressing the camera like Frank Underwood.
Yes.
And it wasn't that fantastic series
Yeah.
too. Right. You have a very, very complex plot there
Yeah.
to get across in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is, are you directing this?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge challenge. Without having read the script,
Yeah.
it's difficult for me to say, but it feels to me like you're giving yourself a hell of a challenge, not
Yeah.
only in terms of the logistics of making it, but also in terms of getting the plot over and then making it resonate with a story that you can tell in 5 or 6 minutes, and being able to satisfy your audience in terms of them understanding all of the things that you can't show on the screen.
Yeah.
There's a lot to explain. Now I know that I'm talking, so it's probably done that way. But I'm still left wondering, and this is only because I haven't read it. I'd have to read it, talk to you more. But is why are they doing what they're doing? What's the purpose? There are, seem to me, slightly illogical things going on in the plot of the story.
Right, yeah.
From where I'm sitting now,
Yeah.
having not read the script and spoken to you,
Yeah.
that you'll need to address
Okay.
in order for the audience to believe your story and the plot and what's taking place.
It seems a little bit to me, and I might be wrong, but there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. That's really great. It seems like you've got this idea, which is a fantastic idea, and you're putting it to a brief. There's a slight mismatch there. So rather than taking the brief and thinking about making something that completely fits that brief,
Yeah.
you're trying to squeeze something massive, potentially big, into into a brief that maybe isn't totally suited for it.
Right.
As in, I feel like this could be a bigger project that's longer, a longer film,
Yeah.
and you might be able to make it exactly how you would want it in a longer film, and maybe limiting yourself by trying to make it in 5 minutes and making it quite complicated.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was initially a feature idea that I had. It was initially, because, but then I thought it'd be more interesting just to explore why, just the kind of character of the messenger and why he's doing what he's doing and why they're thrown in a, I don't know. Because you don't actually, it ends after she sees the body and he comes and he arrests her and you go, oh, hang on a minute, that's the guy who's with the messenger. And that's how it ends.
Okay.
So there's no kind of her, she just gets arrested and then it ends. There's no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I would just be a little wary of being too ambitious and creating something that ultimately you're not totally pleased with because there's so many limitations, and you wouldn't want to kind of take the idea which you really love and not be proud of it at the end.
Yeah.
Do you agree with
Well,
that?
there's that, but there's also having an audience that are bewildered
Mhm.
when the film finishes, because there's so many missing pieces, and they don't know why and how and what's going on and where you're ending the film. Again, you're ending it. It's not the end.
Yeah. It's not that.
So within 5 minutes, you haven't actually resolved your story, and you haven't been able to explain all the backstory and plot, which is never revealed on the screen. It's a huge undertaking to get that across.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. Ambition is great.
Yeah.
Think big, but you might want to look at the key elements of your story.
Yeah.
For example, you have 4 huge thematic strands there:
Yeah.
addiction, corruption. What was it? What were the other 2?
Power and control.
Huge thematic strands.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with those in 5 minutes in one story with 2 people?
Yeah.
What it'll be is you'll have a lovely clear pond and you'll fill it with mud.
Right.
You'll muddy the whole thing because you're trying to do too many things. What you need to do is dilute it right down to its essence. What is the one thing you want to say? What is the one story you want to tell? And focus on that. And that is the solution. This is great. You've got this huge canvas, but you need to know, you need to laser target everything down. If it's about this guy, you need to focus on him, and you need to forget about the woman's addiction. Just seeing her drinking a glass of whiskey is enough. You don't need to deal with the theme of addiction.
I just kind of wrote that on there so it made it look like I knew what I was talking
about.
No,
it's all great stuff. It's good that these things are in your head, but they'll just permeate the film as you make it. But in terms of the execution of your story and the characters, and making it very clear, even if it's at the last second of your film, very clear to the audience what they've been watching. So they go, ah, clever, or nice one. You don't want to go, what the hell's wrong with that? Laser target, get it right down to its essence. Who this guy is, what he's doing, maybe why, maybe not. You know, but if you try and pile in too many ideas and themes and plot and story and characters that you never see, you'll muddy the water so much that nobody ever will see. It needs clarity, even if it's just in your own mind but on the page. And you'll give yourself a break, because you'll end up with something that is sharp and intriguing. And it's okay if people ask questions about it. Like, oh, what's going on? They need to feel that yes, there's a bigger story beyond your film, but they need to understand the film. A little bit like the caravan film I showed you. You know, it was 10 minutes, very, very simple, but it weaves and it surprises you and even shocks people when they go, oh, it's so simple. And it's all through the dialogue and just the execution and structuring the story. Ultimately, it's, you know, it's a very simple story about humans surviving a dystopian world, but it's brought right back down to, you know, a human story about their feelings, about the past, about nostalgia and all that. So all those themes are there, but you have to laser, you have to be really sharp with them, you know. And one image can tell is a thousand or a million words. So just go into it with a scalpel. Get rid of all the fat.
So many different it's like a bottle of whiskey distilled down, not Bloody Mary. And remember, suggestion can be incredibly powerful, and it gives it gives the power over to the viewer as well. So rather than you having the power and spelling it all out, all of these complex stories in dialogue, suggestion, like just her having a sip of whiskey or whatever, and then they can take that where they want. Is she an alcoholic? What's going on there?
And just seeing her empty the bottle, and it's more
she
just see her
empties it and then drops it on the floor.
She
doesn't bother to clean it up.
That's all you need to do. So I know what you're doing there. So you know, it's your presentation. You're putting everything in. But in terms of your project development and script development, is look at very carefully and get rid of things you don't absolutely need. Don't pile it all up because it's too short. Simple.
And if you're not sure about it at all, then it probably shouldn't be there.
It probably needs right, to be honest. It's quite, you can't explain it. It's weird. If you
can't explain your story in 3 sentences, then you haven't got a story yet. You need to figure out what the story is. And if it means losing a character or losing a scene or losing a strand of plot, you need to get rid of it because you know it will be better for it. You know, it's about simple story well told, not a complicated story badly told. Because you'll get into the edit and go, oh, this doesn't work, there's too much, and you'll end up with a 2-minute film that maybe just is close. And script development now, not in the cutting room.
Okay, thank you.
Well done, Rachel.
Nice one.